and welcome to Yoga with Lynn on Wednesday evening. So practicing yoga at home, you need to be aware of the furniture and bits and pieces of your house around you, and also you need to pay attention to how your body feels. So don't do anything that doesn't feel right for you today, and know that it's fine for you to modify in any way that you know is right for you, or to rest out any exercises. We're going to start lying down on our backs. So make yourself comfortable. No particular way you have to lie, but just be aware that you're letting your body relax on the floor. So the floor's there to support you. You can't sink through, you can just let go. With that awareness of your body lying on the floor, and awareness of the space that your body takes up, that volume of air that your body is using. And feel how when you breathe in and you expand because of bringing the air into you, you take up a bit more space, a bit more volume. And as you exhale, you release that extra space. So the space that you're occupying is slowly growing and then shrinking. There's no hurry to take any breaths. When your awareness is on your breath, then you're taking control of your breath. So allow it to be slow but comfortable. Moving up into that space, sinking back away from that space. And with your breath in, as the air comes into your body and you take up the space, almost like you're a balloon, and the balloon expands, becomes lighter, and that moving up into the space, the extra space that you're occupying, feels in your mind's eye like you're almost levitating, lifting up off the floor, floating to move into the space, and then as you exhale, sinking back down. Slowly floating up, slowly sinking down. And then we're going to move the arms in time with the breath. So bring them by your sides. Stay with that slow pace of breath. And next time you take a breath in, raise your arms up towards the ceiling and then over beyond your head. And as you breathe out, bring your arms back down by your sides. So still a feeling of lightness and expansion as you breathe in, and softness as you breathe out, sinking back down. Next time you land your arms on the floor, let them stay there. And then stretch out again. So arms beyond your head. Reach out as if you're reaching for the wall behind your head. And without making your neck too short or without pushing your chest up towards the ceiling, see if you can ease your upper arms closer to your ears. And the upper arms, the backs of the upper arms closer to the floor. And stretch your legs out, legs are together, push your heels away, pull your toes up towards your face. Keep that action with your arms, upper arms in and then back. And relax your arms and your legs. Bring your arms back down by your sides. Bend your knees. Bring your knees onto your chest. Take your hands around your knees. Have a rock side to side. Feet back down on the floor. Then take a roll to one side, make your way up to standing. Cross, salute to the sun. So you're standing at the front end of your mat. Your feet are together or a little bit apart, but toes pointing forwards. And you can feel your weight even on your left and right foot. It almost feels like, well, it feels like the whole of the left side of your body is over your left foot. The right side of your body is over your right foot. You're completely balanced. And you can come to your full height with your shoulders relaxed. And then lift your arms above your head. So when you lift them, you don't have to bring your arms completely close together, but lift up through your upper arms as if you're lifting your elbows away from your shoulders. And then look up between your hands, reach your arms a little bit wider and thumbs closer to the wall behind you. Lift your chest. Look forwards, reach up again. And then take a forward fold. A bend of your knees, fingers on the floor. Hanging your upper body. Looking through between your legs, so the back of your neck gets a stretch as well. Right leg steps all the way back to a lunge. And then left foot back to down face dog. Once again, feel the mat underneath you. Keep pressing down, feet and hands. Tummy button to spine. Slide forwards to plank. Push a bit harder into your hands as if you're lifting your chest away from the floor. Upper back broad. And then knees to the floor. Elbows close in by your sides as you smoothly move your front body down onto the floor. Like it's no effort. And then roll your shoulders back. Lift your chest. And look back down at the floor. Push up to hands and knees. Tuck your toes under. Down face dog once again. And you're going to bend one knee, stretch the other leg. Feel the stretch up the whole length of the back of your leg and then change legs. So stretch alternately on each leg. Okay, and then stretch both legs. See if you can feel the stretch on the backs of your thighs as well as on your calves. Weight on your left foot, look between your hands. Step your right foot through to a lunge. Step your left foot forwards, forward fold. A deep bend of your knees, hips down low to the floor, and then lift your spine. bit of an arch of your back, then straighten your legs to come all the way out. Reach your palms up together at the top and then slide your palms down. Find your full height once again. And lift your arms. Look up, reach back and wide. Look forwards, reach up. And a forward fold. Left leg back to a lunge. Lift your chest, look forwards. Right foot back to down face dog. Glide forwards. Stop when you get to a straight line. Hold that steady. And if you're feeling strong, leave your knees lifted. Lower in a straight line. If you want to, bend your knees onto the mat again. Lower yourself smoothly down. Roll your shoulders back. Lift your chest. As if you're shining a torch and you want to shine it up the wall in front of you rather than on the floor. Look back down. Push up to hands and knees. Tuck your toes under. Down face dog. Tummy button to spine and a slow, steady breath. So have a moment just to feel a little bit of softness in your hands and feet, and how when you give that bit of softness, the whole of the rest of the body softens a bit as well. Feels a bit collapsed, a bit heavy, a bit lethargic. Then ground down through your hands and your feet. Let your foundation give the rest of yourself a bit of lightness and strength. Lift. Weight on your right foot, slip between your hands, and then step your left foot through to a lunge. Followed by your right foot, forward fold. A deep bend of your knees, hips down low. Lift your spine, straighten up, palms together at the top. Palms slide down, full height. So with the breath, as if you're constantly moving. So a breath in to lift your arms. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right leg back. Exhale, down face dog. Inhale, plank. Option to drop your knees. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down face dog. So find your down face dog, and this is the first time that we stop. Tummy button to spine and hands and feet firm on the floor. So take a deep breath in. Feel that expansive feeling again, almost as if you're able to make yourself bigger and lift your hips. And then as you breathe out, ground down through your feet. See if you can take your hips just a centimetre further back towards the wall behind. So a couple of very slow breaths. A breath in to feel like you're growing, and a breath out to firm down through the ground and ease back. And then weight on your left foot. Look between your hands. Breath in as your right foot steps forwards. Exhale, forward fold. Slow, constant movement again. Inhale to stand up. And exhale, palms slide down. Breath in here. Breath out. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, back bend. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, down face dog. Inhale, plank. Option to drop your knees, exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down face dog. Same slow breath, same feeling, that feeling of expansion as you breathe in, grounding and pushing your hips back as you breathe out. 2 more breaths like that. Breath in and a breath out. Breath in, breath out, firm through your hands, and then weight on your right foot, look between your hands. Breath in, left foot forwards to a lunge. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up. Exhale, palms down. Breath in and a breath out. And then rest your arms by your sides. So we're going to balance in tree pose, Vrikshasana. And so you want to, if you want to have something nearby, a chair, a wall, a mantelpiece, whatever you happen to have in your room, have it to one side. Doesn't matter which side. If you're on a mat, you might want to step off the mat and come on the floor, especially if you're on a hard floor. That can make it a good bit easier. And come back to your Tadasana, your mountain pose, standing tall. So you're going to bend your right knee, turn it out to the side, rest your heel on your ankle. So know that this is your first option. This option with your heel on your ankle and not touching a wall is harder than touching a wall. If you're touching a wall and this hand is then a long way away from your feet, it's a lot harder than having sort of both feet on the floor but close together. So if you know you always need the wall there and you would rather not need the wall there, this is your best option. Toes on the floor here. Or if you want to, you can slide your foot up to your calf or up onto your thigh. So find your option. Have the wall near or whatever you've got near if you need it, and then palms together. Find your full height again. So the outside of your right thigh is moving towards the wall behind you. It's easing the leg out, but your hips and your chest, shoulders stay square to the front. Lift your arms. So hold your gaze steady, maybe on the skirting board, something ahead of you, some object in the room. Consider if your arms are straight. Can you lift your elbows up away from your shoulders? Keep the stretch in your arms. Breath in. Exhale, palms together. Another breath in here. And then as you exhale, foot to the floor, arms by your sides. Stand still for a moment. And then if you feel you need to shake anything, give it a shake. So reset your standing tall position. Know what option you're going to have this time, so you can rest your heel on your ankle, you can bring your foot onto your calf, you can bring your foot onto your thigh, and either hands together or using whatever little prop you've got. So can you stand tall again? Your shoulders are relaxed, crown of your head is lifted, outside of your left thigh coming parallel with the wall behind, and then lift your arms. Keep your gaze steady. Lift your elbows away from your shoulders. Breath in. exhale, palms together. Breath in. And then exhale, foot to the floor, arms by your sides. Just stand there for a moment. And then if you need to move, move. And we're going to lie down on our backs. So make your way down onto the floor. You need to have a little bit of room either side of your mat if you possibly can. Once you get there, take your attention to your breath again. Come back to that feeling that as you breathe in, you're sort of lifting, levitating up into the space above you, and as you breathe out, you're sinking back down into the floor. And then bend your knees, feet onto the mat. Arms out to the side at shoulder height, palm face up. And knees onto your chest. We're going to do an abdominal exercise, knees to either side. So you keep the back of your head on the floor, you keep your arms on the floor. It's just the legs that are going to rock from side to side. You're going to rock your hips as well, so moving from one hip to the other. Knees nice and close in towards your chest. And as you pull them in, just feel how your lower back starts to sort of tug a bit longer. That's a good thing, because if your lower back is lengthened, then the muscles in it aren't going to be taking over. Long muscles contract to be used, so if we can stretch them long, we avoid them being used, and then we use the ones on the front core instead, the abdominal muscles. So tucked up as much as you can at all times. Knees and ankles together as much as you can. Take a breath in here. And as you exhale, take both legs over towards the right. So go about halfway down and then hover there. Just see how that feels. Keep the outside of the left arm on the floor. If you've got the strength, you can maybe go a little bit lower, but don't go onto the floor. You're hovering above, and you're still pulling your knees up towards your armpit. Take a breath in here as you hover, and then as you exhale, roll back to the centre. You do the same on the other side. So tuck your knees up, knees and ankles together. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, legs to the left. So you roll onto your left hip. Just see how far is comfy for you to go. It might be halfway down. It might be 3/4. As you breathe in, you hover, but you keep on tucking your joined knees up towards your left armpit. And then as you exhale, you roll back onto your back. So place your feet on the floor for a moment. That's one round. If your lower back felt like it was taking control in a bit of a tense and uncomfortable way, then if you can pull your knees up to your chest, more do. If not, and it still feels uncomfortable, then rest here instead, because this is an abdominal exercise, not a back strengthening exercise. You don't want to hurt your back. And so the lower your knees go to the floor, the more work you have to do. So if you don't want to do too much work, you don't go too far over to either side. If you want to do more, you go further. We're going to do 3 rounds to each side with the breath. So knees onto chest, knees and ankles together, knees tucked up, breath in here, exhale, legs to the right. Breath in to hover, but keep your knees tucking up towards your right armpit. And then as you exhale, roll onto your back. You're only going to move on your exhale. So breath staying here, breath in, exhale, legs to the left. Keep them as close as you can to each other. Breath in to hover, exhale, centre. Breath in at the centre, exhale, right. Inhale to hover, exhale, centre. Inhale, centre. Exhale, left. Inhale on the left, tucking them up. Exhale, centre. One more to each side. Breath in. Exhale, right. Inhale, hover. Exhale, center. Inhale. Exhale, left. Inhale to hover. Exhale, back to the center. And when you get back to the center this time, place your feet on the floor. Stretch your legs out. Let them rest. Knees bend again, so bring your knees back onto your chest. Take a breath in. This time as you exhale, same again, over to the right, but this time let your legs land on the floor. So outside of your right leg lands, maybe your left leg lands close on top, maybe it's a little bit lifted, doesn't matter which. Left arm on the floor behind. And you can look up at the ceiling or you can turn and look out over your left arm. If it helps, a right hand on your left knee, that's all good. So the more the left knee comes towards the right knee, the more your left hip stacks on top of your right hip, and that's your lower back sort of rotating away from the floor as if it's turning towards the wall rather than the floor. But the very top of your spine hasn't moved at all, so that's where your twist is, in the lower back. Soften your legs. Imagine your tummy button moving closer to your left fingers. See if that lets your left shoulder more comfortably come down towards the floor. And if you've turned your head to the left, come back to the ceiling. Stretch the right leg out, just straighten the leg. Keep the thigh where it is, like you're kicking a football, kick it out. Take a hold from underneath with your right hand. See how open the back of your left knee can be. Completely straight leg maybe a bit of a bend. And then bend your knee again. Roll onto your back. Hold there at the centre. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, both knees over to the left. So take your time. Keep them tucked up as much as you can. See if you can let the left leg gently down onto the floor. And then the right leg just follows as much as it wants to, with awareness of the back of the right arm. And if you want to, you can take your left hand on the right knee. You can look at the ceiling or you can look out over your right arm. So feel the top of your spine. Well, the top of your spine goes right into the base of your skull. So if you've turned to the right, it's maybe even turned beyond flat on the floor. And then the base of your spine has rolled away from the floor. So be aware that we're not really worrying where the legs are. We're kind of thinking more that the right hip is stacking on the left hip. That's what's going to give you the twist. And then stretch out the right leg. Hold it from underneath, there's a bit of support. Look up at the ceiling. How straight can the back of your right knee be? Can it go completely straight? Take a bend of your right knee. Roll onto your back. And then place your feet down on the floor. Let your knees gently rock from side to side. And find a pace that feels nice. Maybe it's fast, maybe it's slow. See what feels right for you. Just to bring a bit of movement into the hips. And come to rest at the centre. We're going to make our way up to standing. So however suits you, bring yourself up. And no need to turn your mat around, doesn't matter which way it's facing. Going to have your feet hip distance apart. Turn face me. So feet just a comfortable distance apart. And we're going to work the upper spine, arching it and rounding it. Take your hands, interlock your fingers, and then place them on the back of your head. And let your arms and shoulders relax. So like we do in the salute to the sun at the beginning when we lift the chest up to the ceiling, that's what we're going to do. It's going to be like a lift up and over. So first of all, feel your feet firm on the floor. And imagine you can make the fronts of your legs longer than the backs of your legs, so that your hip bones, the bony bits, those two bony bits, lift up, sort of tilt away from the floor. Maybe ease a little bit forwards, but a lift up feeling as well. And then your tummy button stretches up away from your hips. The centre of your chest lifts towards the ceiling. And looking sort of not right up ahead, have your neck comfy, but just allow your head to lean back into your hands so that you can turn your chest up towards the ceiling. Relax your shoulders so you've got some neck. And then see if imagine that you've got a huge big balance ball behind you and you're leaning back on it. Maybe it gets pumped up a little bit more. And maybe you can just relax the backs of your upper arms back onto it as well. So a steady breath, feet firm on the floor, long front body. And then your back of the shoulders, back of the head leaning back against your ball. So very slowly, elbows towards each other, chin tucks in to look forwards, and then bring yourself up. Keep your elbows in line. So now they're in line with your shoulders. We're going to stretch the back the other way. It's only the upper back though, so don't lean forwards. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. And then let your upper back round. Be light with your hands on the back of your head for now. I'll turn to the side, so if you're in doubt, it's just my upper back rounding, so my waist hasn't bent. And then if it feels okay in your neck, be aware of what it does feel like. Maybe you can let your arms relax. So your elbows are pointing to the floor, and the weight of your arms is on the back of your head, your hands on the back of your head. But make sure your neck feels okay. Relax your shoulders. So your upper back feels long and broad. Keep your chin on your chest and that rounding of your upper back. Release your hands, just let them drop by your sides. Keep your chin in. So you take the weight off the back of your head first and then very gently bring it back upright. So you've been forwards and backwards with the neck. We're going to very gently take it to the right, so cautiously move it around. Keep your chin parallel with the floor. See how far it's okay to go. No further. And then when you get to that maximum point, slowly come back. It's like a little slow motion, constant movement. When you get to the centre, start to turn over towards the left. And then when you get to your maximum, you gently come back to the centre. And go over to the right again. And then this time just stop at that comfortable maximum place, and if it feels like it's okay, squeeze a little bit further into it. Left shoulder not rolling forwards, it's just the neck. And unsqueeze back to the centre. Turn to the left. So just find where it wants to go. Make sure the right shoulder is not rolling forwards to make it go further. Let it just be the neck. And if it feels okay, a bit of an extra squeeze. And then if you squeezed, unsqueeze, back to the centre. Hands interlock in front. Turn your palms up to the ceiling and then stretch your arms up. So feel how as you stretch up, your feet press down into the floor. It's that whole grounding in order to lift feeling. So keep that pushing down, sides of the waist lifting. Rib cage, front ribs might want to push forwards, but let them soften down towards the floor instead. Make sure you've got some neck, so shoulders not hoiked right up. And then again, instead of thinking about the palms lifting to the ceiling, think about the upper arms easing towards your ears, and then upper arms moving closer to the wall behind. Ribs relaxed, shoulders relaxed. So upper arms closer to your ears and closer to the wall behind. And then release your arms. Interlock your hands behind your back. And then squeeze your arms together. Squeeze your upper arms together. And again, front ribs softening down towards the floor rather than pushing out. A squeeze of your shoulders, a squeeze of your upper arms. And then let your upper arms lift away from the floor. You don't have to think about your fist lifting, think about your upper arms lifting. When it gets to a comfortable place, reassess your body again. Squeeze your shoulder blades, squeeze your arms, upper arms together, lift them away from the floor. Just your upper arms lifting, squeezing in, lifting away from the floor, and then gently relaxing. Take a bit of a roll of your shoulders just to bring some movement back. And we're going to take a half forward fold, like a tabletop forward fold. I'm going to come sideways on. In fact, if everyone goes sideways on, then I'll have a perfect view of everyone. That would be really nice. So standing to the side, any direction, feet pointing forwards but hip distance apart, hands on the fronts of your thighs, a bend of your knees, just enough bend to soften them, and then hinging at your hips. So that means sort of tilting your bowl of your hips forwards, slide your hands down towards the top of your knees. So stop just above your knees. Don't put pressure on your kneecaps, keep your hands just above your knees. And you'll probably find your shoulders are above your hips. So now you just make a little adjustment, if you can, to bring your shoulders to the same level as your hips. So if you'd rather put your hands below your knees, that's fine. But I suspect most people want their hands above their knees. The choice is yours. You can lift your tummy button up towards your spine as if to support the whole length of your spine. Make your lower back broad. So maybe for you that means taking your inner thighs towards the wall behind you. But if that makes you lose contact with the support of your tummy button to spine, lift again. Crown of your head pulling away from your tailbone, and you're looking down underneath your face rather than down towards your feet. Upper back broad, so your shoulders floating away from the floor. And are your back ribs, lower back ribs, are they doming to the ceiling or are they sinking to the floor? Can you flatten them, whichever way they're going? Everyone's a bit different in their back. Flatten them out. And take a good deep bend of your knees. Relax your back and your shoulders. Round your back so that you can gently make your way back up. Upright. Have a moment here before we go again. So I'll go through those same little points and then we're going to think about something else. So it's all about a flat back, a tabletop back. And that little bend in your knees again. Hands on the fronts of your thighs, slide them down, hinge at your hips. So you've got to stick your hips up behind. See if you can get your shoulders at the same height as your hips. You're looking down underneath your face rather than tucking your chin in and looking at your feet. Tummy button to spine. That's got to lift you because your legs are there, but you haven't got anything underneath your shoulders, so your core has got to support your shoulders and your head. So tummy button to spine, let the whole spine be lifted. Inner thighs gently rolling back to broaden your lower back. Still tummy button to spine. Shoulders floating away from the mat to let your upper back be broad. Lovely. And then imagine which is the highest part on your back. It's different for everyone. I can't say what it is, but you can feel it in your mind's eye. Flatten it out. And then imagine the ceiling coming down from above, a flat ceiling. It's going to touch that highest place first, and when it touches, it stops. And then anything that's not touching the ceiling, which is everything apart from that highest place, is going to splay up towards the ceiling. So lift everything else up against the ceiling. Whole length and width of your back touching your ceiling. Just a couple more breaths there. Everywhere on your back in contact. And then take a deeper bend of your knees. Relax your back, relax your shoulders. Slide your hands down your shins. Come into a forward fold. Take a hold of the opposite elbow with each hand. Let your upper body completely hang. So you've got bent knees. It's almost like you can feel, after having worked your back, your spine like that, it's maybe like you can feel it just hanging, attached to your hips, but hanging, lengthening. Sorry, we're still in a forward fold. And then release your hands. Take a good deep bend of your knees. Tuck your tailbone under, tuck your chin in. Roll yourself back up to standing. And then take a lie down on the floor. Once you get on the floor, bring your knees onto your chest. Have a rock side to side. And then bring your feet down on the floor. Stretch out again. Take a couple of expanding in breaths and softening out breaths. Make your way back up to sitting. So we're going to take Janu Sirsasana for a forward fold. It's the one where we have one knee bent and we lean forwards. So if you need a block to sit on or something underneath this knee, a cushion is nice under here if you're in your lounge and you've got a cushion to hand, that can be quite nice. Anything to sit on if you want it, it's your choice. Yeah, block's all good, sit on your block. Lovely. So we're going to sit up tall first of all, legs stretched out. Great. So bend your right knee. Bring the sole of your right foot towards your left thigh and let your right knee drop out to the side. And then come back to the position that you were in. So just bringing that leg out to the side turns the whole body that way. Imagine you've got a laser beam shining out of your tummy button and you're going to shine it towards your left big toe. So that's your direction sorted. It's like you're kind of gently pulling yourself around to the left. Front body feeling long. Feel what it feels like to lengthen your front body. Keep that length. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, lean yourself forwards. So you might need to keep your hands behind your hips to do that, or gravity might let you bring them forwards. Relax your shoulders. So I can take a few breaths here, thinking about how to make it a little bit more of a stretch. So as you breathe in, elongate your front body again. It's like you're lifting your collarbones. And then as you breathe out, you can completely relax. The breath in is about stretching front body a little bit longer. Exhale, softening. And wherever you are, it doesn't matter how low you are, imagine again the ceiling coming down from above. Is it going to touch the right side of your back body before the left side? And if it is, can you just adjust yourself to make that left-right a little bit more even? Two more breaths there. So as you breathe in, can you elongate your front body? Exhale, soften. One more breath in to elongate. And exhale to soften. Chin to chest. Walk your hands, if they're forwards, back up towards your hips. Bring yourself upright. So if you've got anything underneath this right leg as a support, just take it away. Place your left hand on your left knee and your right hand on the floor behind. Lean back onto that right hand. Lean your right knee down to the floor and then lift your hips up away from the mat. So you push into your right hand, you lift your right hip. Stretch your left hand overhead. So you get a big stretch down the left side of your body. Point your left toes away, stretch your left fingers away. Lift your right hip, that lower hip, a bit up away from the mat. And then if it feels good, maybe open your armpit up towards the ceiling. Looking towards the ceiling, turning your chest towards the ceiling. Only if it feels good. Even your hips rotating a little bit towards the ceiling. Take your attention to your right hip again. Lower your right hip slowly down to the floor. Once it hits the floor, then you can turn to the front and stretch your right leg. So this time with the left leg. So bend of your left knee. Sole of the left foot against your right thigh and left knee out to the left. I forgot to say last time, if it hurts your knee or your hip, stretch your leg out instead. And then sit tall again. So your laser beam points towards your right big toe. So make any adjustments that you need to, even with like flesh underneath your bum, to lift up tall. And if you want any padding underneath the left knee, then feel free to pop something underneath it so it can relax rather than it having to hold itself if it doesn't want to sit on the floor. So lengthen the front of your body, take a breath in, and then as you exhale, hinge at your hips, lean forwards, keep your front body long. So your hands can stay behind or your hands can come forwards. Breath in, elongate your front body again, and this time as you breathe out, let your shoulders, the head, your neck relax. But stay with that feeling. As you breathe in, just make a bit more length in your front body. As you breathe out, relax. Round your back, do whatever you want. Slow, steady breaths. Every breath in, lengthening the front of the body, even if it's just a tiny fraction, and then as you exhale, you can relax back into it. Picture if your left shoulder is higher than your right shoulder. Try to adjust. It's like turning your tummy button around to the right thigh. Slow, steady breath in and a breath out. One more breath in, lengthen your front body. Exhale, soften. And if your hands are forwards, walk them back up to your hips. Bring yourself back upright. So if you've got any padding under your left knee, move it away so you can roll that leg in a moment down onto the floor. Right hand on your right knee, left hand on the floor behind. Lean back on your left hand. Roll onto the outside of your left knee and then lift your hips. Push firmly down with your hand to lift your hips and then stretch your right arm overhead. So get the stretch on your right side. Left hip as high away from the mat as it can be. And if you want to, roll your armpit towards the ceiling, your chest and your hips towards the ceiling. Big stretch in the front of the body or the side of the body, wherever you care to have it. And then attention to your left hip, slowly lower it back down to the floor. And when it lands, turn to the front, stretch out. Give your legs a bit of a shake. And then lie down again on your back. Bend your knees, feet onto the mat. Cross your right knee all the way over your left knee. Right thigh all the way over your left thigh. Yeah. And then bring both knees onto your chest. You might need to pick up your head. You're going to try and interlock your hands behind your left thigh. So under your calves but behind your thighs. And then tuck in your chin, roll your head back down to the floor. Relax your shoulders and relax your hips. Relax your hips so much that maybe your hands can ease them a bit closer in towards you. Your tailbone still rolling down towards the floor rather than pinging up at the end. So whole of the back snug against the floor. And then release your lock behind your thighs. Left foot to the floor, right foot to the floor. Left leg over your right leg. Knees onto your chest. Reach around behind the back of your right thigh. Interlock your hands. Then let your calves just flop down on your hands. Tuck your chin in as you roll your head back down on the floor. Relax your shoulders first. And then see if you can gently squeeze in. But as you squeeze in, relax your hips. Can you feel your tailbone wanting to lift up off the floor? Can you roll it back down? Long, wide, flat back and soft hips. Release your legs. Right foot to the floor, left foot to the floor. And then stretch both legs out. Take your feet as wide apart as the mat. And then let your legs relax completely. Where do your feet want to go? Let them go wherever they want to go. Arms a little way away from your body, palm face up. Do your shoulder blades feel like they're being slid up your back? If they do, just lift one shoulder blade, tuck it down. Lift the other shoulder blade, tuck it down and then land back down. Make sure your upper back feels comfy. Are the balls of your shoulders lifting up away from the floor? Can they relax down towards the floor? Close your eyes. Bring your attention back to your breath. Slow, steady breath. That inflation as you breathe in, allowing that feeling of levitation in your body. You're lifting up into the space above it as you breathe in, and then as you breathe out, you're sinking back down into the floor. Is your breath the slowest it could be and still be comfortable? Floating as you breathe in, sinking as you breathe out. Expanding as you breathe in. Maybe breathing in a little deeper to make that feeling of expansion, a feeling of liveliness, a bit of energy back in the body, softness as you breathe out. Two more breaths like that, and then natural breathing. Bring your legs together along the mat. Take your arms over beyond your head. Stretch your fingers for the wall behind. Push your heels away to reach the wall in front. And then point your toes away. Release the stretch. Relax everything. Take a bend of your knees, feet on the floor. And then knees up onto your chest. One hand on each knee. And then let your knees guide, your hands guide your knees around in a big circle. A slow, big circle. It's like your lower back gets a massage from the floor as you do that. Go back the other way. And then come to rocking side to side so that you can take one big roll onto whichever side you have most space. And from that place, back up to sitting. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope to see you again soon.